Imagine stepping into a world you never knew existed. CERN has done it again. They have unearthed a time capsule that's shaking the very foundations of what we thought we knew. There were no open-buy dates prior to the 1920s and 1930s. They put these time capsules in with the expectation that they would last in perpetuity. So it's like, well, why would they do that? This isn't your ordinary time capsule, but it's unveiling secrets that were meant to stay buried for years. These capsules have acted like tiny time machines and have preserved our past while simultaneously hinting at our future. But what happens when the truth they reveal isn't all sunshine and rainbows? Join us as we dive deep into CERN's discovery and unravel the mysteries hidden within. Before we dive into that, though, it is important to note that this isn't the only time an ominous time capsule has been discovered. Perhaps one of the most eerie discoveries of a time capsule has been brought to light sooner than we think. It also came from none other than a former mental hospital. In 2015, a construction crew in Indiana stumbled upon this relic from 1958, which was hidden away by the staff of a now-defunct mental institution. Inside, they found a video intended as a message to the future. The experts who unearthed this capsule were filled with anticipation and were eager to hear the thoughts and predictions of those long-gone professionals. However, their excitement quickly turned to frustration and disappointment. The audio had severely degraded over the decades and had sadly only left a fragment of the original recording intact. What is interesting, though, is that in the surviving portion of the audio, a mysterious figure delivers a cryptic message. It said something about when the psychiatrists in the future were to come across this time capsule, they would be the only ones to tell how skillfully the beings who made the capsule had solved their treatment problems. The statement is tantalizingly vague, of course, and hints at the struggles and aspirations of mental health practitioners in the mid-20th century. Just as abruptly, the audio cuts out, plunging the listener back into silence. When it returns, the men in the video are engaged in a serious discussion about electroshock therapy, which was a controversial treatment method widely used during the 1950s. This practice, which was once heralded as a breakthrough in treating mental disorders, has since been heavily criticized and largely abandoned due to its harsh and often traumatic effects on patients. The mental hospital where this time capsule originated eventually closed its doors in 1992 and left behind a legacy shrouded in mystery. Historians have since struggled to identify the men featured in the video and to decipher the missing portions of the audio. What other insights and secrets might have been shared about the use of electroshock therapy and other treatment methods of the time? Jumping to a few years earlier, in 2010, there was another case where a dusky trunk was found out of nowhere. On this trunk, they found the initials J.M. Barrie. Two women clearing out an abandoned building in LA made a horrifying discovery. The trunk, which bore the same initials as the famed Scottish author, held a secret that was quite gruesome. Nestled inside were not treasures but tragedy. What the women found were the bodies of two infants swaddled in sheets and hidden within doctors' bags. Old newspapers and forgotten belongings completed the chilling scene. Investigators were no doubt baffled. They found no connection between the initials on the trunk and the author. Adding another layer of unease was that a well-worn copy of Peter Pan lay beside the babies. A membership card to the Peter Pan Woodland Club Resort only deepened the mystery. The bodies bore no signs of violence. An abortion was ruled out. One was a full-term infant, while the other was a tiny soul perhaps born too soon. The chilling truth remained elusive. Was there a link to the fantastical Neverland where children never grew up? Or did this trunk hold a story far darker? A secret lost to time? It just seems that the unearthed secrets keep getting darker. In 2016, a demolition crew in Albuquerque, New Mexico, stumbled upon a time capsule buried near a former elementary school dating back to 1968. It seemed like a child's hopeful message to the future, but upon opening it, the workers found a chilling letter instead. It read, "I am dead. I go to Montgomery School, the old school name. I was born in 1900. The note further went on to give more details about who this boy was and where he came from. In the end, it was signed by Greg Lee Youngman. Attempts to track down Greg today have come up mostly empty. Some speculate he was a ghostly prankster from a bygone era, while others believe it was just a boy with a vivid imagination. Either way, The letter has left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. What's even more intense is that this wasn't the only case that happened in the same year. A North Carolina woman thought she'd scored a steal by buying a used freezer for a mere $30. Her joy turned to horror upon discovering human remains inside. The seller, it turned out, was the deceased's own daughter, who'd used the freezer as a rather morbid time capsule for her mother. The police investigation revealed the daughter had vanished after the sale, claiming she was visiting her mother in a West Virginia nursing home. This was a lie that exposed the chilling truth. A seemingly sinister case turned into one of the most shocking news headlines the world had ever seen. Sadly, this wasn't the only time that an individual had some evil intentions for human remains. Not long ago, a man was exploring the woods with his metal detector when he made a shocking discovery. He unearthed a time capsule, and what he found inside was deeply disturbing. The capsule contained a teddy bear, clothes, photos, a camera, and a girl's Pee Wee softball medal from 2003. These were all items that appeared to belong to a young girl. As news of the find spread, people began to speculate that these were not just mementos, but rather the chilling trophies of a serial killer. The thought was terrifying. It seemed that a killer was preserving these personal items as macabre souvenirs of their victims and hiding them in a secluded forest while never expecting them to be discovered. The police were called in to investigate, and after a thorough examination, they concluded that the items were likely innocent memorabilia left by their original owner as a personal time capsule. However, despite the official explanation, the eerie possibility that these items could be the trophies of a sinister past continues to scare everyone. The forest, once just a quiet place for a man and his metal detector, now holds a dark and unsettling mystery that lingers in the imagination. Now, not all capsules were meant to be mementos for heinous crimes. Some were carefully crafted by governments and high-end companies to send to future generations as warnings. In January 1968, two prominent Japanese companies embarked on a remarkable endeavor. They had created a joint time capsule project in celebration of Japan's World Exposition Fair in 1970. Their ambitious plan was to preserve artifacts for an astounding 5,000 years. The upper capsule was ceremoniously opened in 2000 and is slated to be reopened every 100 years. This, of course, provided a unique glimpse into the world of 1970 and the daily lives of the Japanese people at that time. Among the intriguing contents were a slinky toy, glass eyeballs, and perhaps the most poignant artifact of all, the black fingernail of a Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor. Human fingernails are composed of keratin, which is a durable protein that does not decompose. It seems the creators of the time capsule intended for this fingernail to serve as a stark and powerful reminder of the horrors of war, while hoping to impart a lasting lesson to future generations about the devastating consequences of conflict. No matter what the intentions were for the capsule, though, it's clear that the presence of human remains made for a chilling example. Ultimately, the Japanese weren't the only ones sending warnings for the future. Even physicists had a hand in these projects. In 1939, the brilliant physicist Albert Einstein wrote a letter to be buried in a time capsule to commemorate the New York World's Fair. This capsule, now resting 50 feet underground at Flushing Meadows, is not meant to be opened until the distant year of 6939. To put that into perspective, that's about a staggering 5,000 years from its burial. Einstein's letter contained predictions about the future that are eerily accurate and deeply unsettling. Einstein spoke of the great strides made by science but noted with concern how the production and distribution of goods were disorganized. He warned that this lack of organization would cause people to live in constant fear of being excluded from the economic system and could lead to suffering and want. His words painted a picture of a world where economic instability loomed over everyone's heads and created a persistent sense of dread. Even more chilling were Einstein's observations about human violence. He described how people in different countries kill each other at irregular intervals, which would end up creating an atmosphere of unending fear and terror. Einstein attributed this ongoing violence to the difference in intelligence and character between the general population and those making valuable contributions to society. His words seem to echo the realities of today's world, where many still live in fear of violence and economic threats. These specific details made Einstein's message feel hauntingly relevant. Shifting gears to more historical findings that pose as relics is a curious case from 2010. Back in June 2010, a remarkable discovery was made following the death of Solange Beaugerin, who passed away at the age of 91 in the south of France. While the executor of her will meticulously sorted through her records, they stumbled upon a document that sent chills down their spine. It turned out that Solange was the illegitimate daughter of the infamous con artist, swindler, and crime lord, Henri Désiré Landru, often referred to as the French Bluebeard. Landru was notorious for the grisly murders of 11 women, whose bodies he burned in his kitchen stove. Among Solange's documents was a scrapbook that contained her father's trial records, which revealed a sinister truth. Landru had purchased the residence in Gambais with the intention of carrying out his murderous acts in its kitchen. The scrapbook included a detailed account of Landru's gruesome actions and his trial, which had been dubbed the trial of the century in France. This discovery sent shockwaves through those who uncovered the chilling secret of Solange's ancestry, forever linking her to one of France's most notorious criminals. While Henri Désiré Landru's legacy is forever shrouded in darkness, the discovery of his crimes has led to another discovery that just seemed too coincidental. In June 2016, construction workers in Melbourne, Australia, unearthed a mysterious time capsule beneath the site of an old pub. The capsule, which had been buried in 1994, contained a treasure trove of memorabilia from a bygone era. Among the items was a VHS tape filled with news reports, commercials, and a family's home video footage. One segment stood out in particular, a local news report about a series of unsolved murders. The victims, young women who had gone missing in the 1990s, were eerily reminiscent of Landru's gruesome deeds. Though no direct connection was ever established, the discovery of this time capsule brought those cold cases back into the spotlight. It led investigators to re-examine the evidence with renewed interest. The video footage and other items were preserved in the time capsule and provided a chilling reminder of the unsolved mysteries and lost lives from Melbourne's dark past. While some may argue that this discovery was a mere coincidence, it certainly felt like history was repeating itself in a most unsettling way. Each of these examples just goes to show that time capsules are usually a nostalgic way of preserving memories and legacies for the future. However, these stories are grim reminders that they can also serve as eerie windows into our past and the darkest corners of human nature. The unearthed secrets hidden within these time capsules can be deeply unsettling, revealing the chilling mysteries, crimes, and warnings from generations long gone by. They remind us that not all secrets are meant to be uncovered, and that some legacies are best left buried in the sands of time.